Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Nightcrawler Garage. So I'm going to be wrapping the primaries on this header. I did a video about a year ago where I installed this eBay header, and so far I've been pretty happy with it. One issue is this #1 primary tube is extremely close to the alternator. I had this alternator fail the other day. Failed in a Walmart parking lot, and there was an O'Reilly's across the street, and that's where I bought the original alternator, and luckily it had a lifetime warranty. The point I'm trying to make is in that first video I talked about a modification I did. So I had to change this alternator out, in the parking lot, and that modification made the job a lot easier. So you can go back and watch that video, but you've got this little box here. I think it's maybe a relay box, and you probably won't be able to see it, but down on the bracket, and you can't really see in there. I showed it in that other video. I made a notch on the bracket. So if you ever have to change out an alternator on one of these, and if you have the proper tools, there's only 2 bolts on the alternator. That one down there is very long. It goes all the way through to the other side. You can see it sticking out down there. So if you notch that bracket, you can pull that bolt all the way out without having to take this bracket off. That saves a lot of time. Like I say, just 2 bolts, one up here, one down there, and I was able to take it out in the parking lot. Another thing, I'm going to show you a little trick. Now, keep in mind, any dirty tricks you learn on my channel, if you get hurt, it's kind of on you, because this is not proper mechanics technique. This is in a pinch when you don't have the right stuff. Yeah, this little arrangement, 14mm wrench, actually 2 of them. So I had 2 vehicles, I had 2 sets of tools, and on these cars, there's a pulley way down there. You can't really see it, but you can kind of see it way down there, and it's a tensioner, so you have to put your wrench on and go clockwise, and it takes quite a bit of force. I don't know, probably 30 pounds maybe, because it's spring loaded, so you got to hold that down with one hand and then take the belt off. So that was the hardest part, getting the belt off and on. So that's the technique I use. First of all, it's best if you have a 14mm wrench with 0 angle, like this one. It doesn't have to be a ratcheting. It's probably better if it's not. You don't need a ratcheting wrench, but get a straight one. So if you got a Nissan Altima, carry a straight 14mm. Could be the cheap one. So I've got another wrench, my lever wrench. See how I've got that locked? Like I say, you got to be real careful, because this can slip off really easily, and you can bust your knuckles big time. But if you look at this wrench, this is a good wrench. It's Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh, but it's got too much angle. It's probably got, I don't know, 15 degrees or whatever. So if you try to get that in there on that pulley bolt, this end down here where my pinky is going to hit on the subframe, and you probably aren't going to be able to get it. So you really need a straight 14. Do not use the open end, man. That sucker's going to slip off. That's straight, but don't ever use the open end. You got to have a box. So get the straight box and carry that in your car. Okay, so that's that. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the wrap. So my main concern is I want to get mainly this #1 primary wrapped. I've seen on YouTube people say buy a heat shield and bolt it on here and all that, and it's like, no, I'm just going to wrap it. I got the tools, I got the wrap. It's very tight, but I can get it in there. Now, I was looking at this, trying to think about how I'm going to do this, and it's extremely tight in between the 1 and 2 primary, so I cannot get a wrap through there. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the #4 primary, come down as low as I can, get a wrap on there, put the stainless steel zip tie, which I'll show you in a minute, and then I'm going to wrap the whole all four primaries. You know, start here, go in behind, go around number 1, go around this bung, and just keep going around counterclockwise, and then I'll come up to probably about here. And then when I come around that last wrap, I'm going to go all the way under over to number 1, and then I'm just going to wrap it clear out as far as I can to about there, and zip tie. And then I can go back, and if I want, I can do these other ones with short pieces. But that's kind of my plan on how I want to do this, I think. So I'm not going to show myself doing it. I'm just going to do it, and I'll show you the end result. But yeah, I probably should have done that, you know, a year ago. Should have wrapped this thing all the way. I thought about it, but I didn't do it. So yeah, we're going to get that done today. So I'll show you the stuff I got here. Here's the header wrap, the fiberglass wrap. This is the custom tool. I didn't do a very good job, but it just has a slot in it, and that's used to tighten down these stainless steel zip ties, cable ties, stainless steel cable ties. And I just happen to have 8 of them, which is, you know, I got 4 primaries, 2 per primary, so there's 8. And so here's the original cat, you know, gutted cat with the heat shield, and you'll notice it right here. There's a dent in the heat shield. So you take the heat shield off, there's your number 1, and you'll notice how there's a dent, and the primary tubes are a lot smaller on here, and it just kind of like goes right at that nice sharp angle. So this gives you the room around the alternator, whereas, you know, the race header, man, it's pretty fat. You can see, I don't know how much bigger these tubes are, but they're quite a bit bigger. I think that's why it does produce a little more, feels like it makes more power. So yeah, that's the project for today. Okay, more to come. Okay, we're getting started here on the project. So I took the belt off, and I've got it just wired over here to the AC line. So it's important when you're taking your alternator off, or basically taking that belt off to do the alternator, you don't want the belt to fall off the power steering pulley, which see if I can get a shot of it, which is down there. Let's see here. Yeah, you can see it right there in the middle of the shot. See that? So you have to keep a little tension on this end. So I just took took the belt off, took the top bolt out, and then loosened the bottom bolt, and that gives me just enough clearance. I think I can get in there. It's not a lot, but I got enough to get in there and wrap that, I think. Otherwise, I'll just have to take that bolt all the way out and remove the alternator. But point is, make sure that you got all of your pulleys, the belt's still kind of hanging on all the pulleys except for the alternator. Keep a little tension on that. Imagine if I was doing this in the parking lot and that falls off that power steering pump. Then you got to kind of get underneath the car, and it's just a lot harder. You know, here at home, no big deal. I can jack it up. Not a problem. I think I'm shaking the heck out of my camera. Sorry. Okay. So here we go. Okay, I got the wrap on. Alternator's partway back in. And yeah, it fits. So yeah, I kind of did it the way I said I was, but not exactly. So I went around number 4 primary a few times, then I went around all 4 primaries, and then I hit number 3 a couple times, and then number 2 a couple times, and then number 1. And so I ended up just using 3 of the cable ties, so out of 8 that I had. Okay, so there's the wrench setup. Like I say, this is kind of a redneck way of doing this, but in a pinch, it'd be nice if you get like a flex handle wrench down there, but you can't get a socket in there. It's just too tight. Yeah, it takes quite a bit of force. It's hard to get the light down in there, but you can kind of see I got the wrenches are doubled up, and see if I can get more light in there. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Anyway, yeah, just got to be real careful doing that. And I got all the belt on all the pulleys. Always got to check that power steering in the back, make sure it's on. I probably can't see. Oh yeah, you can see it down there. Yep. So we're on all the pulleys. So now I just got to hook up the wiring and the battery, and I'm going to start this up. And I'm just going to take some temperatures on the alternator and see. That should keep it nice and cool. So this is that header wrap I bought. This is the black stuff, which I don't know what the black stuff is supposed to be made out of, but it's supposed to be better than the regular fiberglass. I kind of wonder about this. Of course, it's made in China, and I wonder if it's just the regular fiberglass wrap and then they paint it black. Because, well, let's just take a look at the car. Look at all that smoke coming off. I know I had a little grease on my hands, but not that much. So I'm kind of letting that burn off. But I think that might just be paint. They probably just paint it black, you know. Because it does turn white after a little while, so... yeah. Anyway. I got the voltmeter on there. I'm getting about 14.6 64 volts. I just cleaned up the battery, cleaned up the terminals. So I'm going to let this thing get warmed up, and then I'm going to check the see how warm the alternator gets. Alright. Man, what a smoke show. Okay, the alternator is still getting pretty warm, but it's better than it was. It's about 100 degrees difference between the primary tube and the alternator case. So we go right on the primary, get about 450, 460, and I go right on the case, about 360. So it's about 100 degrees difference. That's just in that one spot, you know. About 250 down there at the bottom where the fins are, around 300. But if you look at the number 2 here, that's 600 degrees there, so number 3 is around 560. 4 is pretty cool, actually, 300 degrees. I don't know why that is. Maybe it has something to do with where the water jackets are or something. I don't know. I don't know why that would be a lot cooler. About 480 right there on the flange. 450. Yeah, this probably isn't the most accurate. Well, it's definitely cooler. Anyway, yeah, hopefully this will work. Okay, well, that's the best I can do for now, so until I can come up with something better, that's what we got.